Hello guys and welcome back to Big Brother, and today we're talking about days 27 to 29 and a lot has happened. We've had 3 rule breaks, which is absolutely insane, with escalating punishments for each of them. I am very excited to get talking about this because there's been a lot of chaos, a lot of craziness and a lot of entertaining moments to talk about. So without much further ado, let's just get into it, shall we? So we're going to start with the Nancy and Caroline rule break. Now, this happened in the previous episode, but it was only really brought up on Saturday. I think they gave them a little bit of a day before everything was going to kick off. And also, they weren't sure whether Nancy was going to get, banished, I was about to say, evicted. So they weren't sure whether the punishment was even going to be necessary. Do you know what I mean? Either way, what happened was Caroline and Nancy were having a conversation in the kitchen about the fact that Nancy thought Farida had nominated her, and Caroline was basically saying, yeah, I think she would have nominated me as well if I hadn't had immunity. So effectively, obviously, rule break, innit? But this is where it gets good. They didn't have to sit outside in the jail, no. They were told at the last one, when Elsa was talking, that that was the last shot. That was the last chance. Any rule breaks from now on were going to carry more severe punishments. And this one, it did carry a severe punishment. No hot water, no hair appliances, no nothing. It was absolute pandemonium, and you could tell that everyone was pissed off with Caroline and Nancy. And I find it really weird that obviously Caroline and Nancy, they went through a very difficult patch in the second week, and then obviously now Betty mates. But I think that's how you show that you are definitely over the hill of being forgiven, I guess is the word I would use. But yeah, those two are definitely thick as thieves along with Sam, and I have to say there's a lot of hatred towards them online, especially on Twitter, about how people want to get them out. And I'm like, I would much rather have those 3 in the house than Elsa, Marcus and Tate. Like, come on, what are those 3 adding to the to the discussion? Do you know what I mean? We're going to talk about Elsa in a little bit, and I have some opinions on Elsa that I don't know whether they're going to be popular or not, but I just don't find her exciting or interesting when she's on screen. But at least with Nancy, Sam and Caroline, yeah, they're bitchy, yeah, they're this, they're that, but at least they're making good TV, come on. So the challenge for today was called 3 of a Kind. Now, I don't have a problem with Big Brother doing daily challenges. I have no issue with that whatsoever. But extend the episode, do you know what I mean? Make them 15 minutes longer. We don't need an extra 15 minutes of Late and Live. We only need 45 minutes of Late and Live. Come on, we don't need an hour. So we can extend it by 15 minutes, get more house highlights so we can have a game as well. I'm fine with the shit-stirring tasks, but what I'm not fine with is having them in place of what could be other more exciting conversations that are happening in the house, especially when you're muting the live stream for the majority of it. I don't personally watch the live stream, but for the people who do, then they're just sitting listening to birdsong and watching stock images. What's the point of the live stream? Take a leaf out of Big Brother US's book where they only take the live stream down when they're doing competitions or when there's a meeting happening, which is obviously going to happen on TV. But equally, they find out what happens anyway because people talk about it, so they just let it run. Anyway, moving on from that little rant about the live stream. This was an okay challenge. I was less than enthralled by the whole thing, I have to be honest. I didn't find it that exciting. I think it's one of those things where it is just a shit-stirring task, and they were having to match their answers to certain things, and I have to say the questions weren't that interesting. The ones that were interesting were Jenny, Cameron and Zila thought that the most selfish were, in this order, Caroline, Jenny and Jenny. Sam, Nancy and Caroline thought that the most two-faced person was Sam, Richard and Caroline. Caroline voted for herself, which I found quite funny. Missed the least, Emily thought that it was Tate, Tasia thought it was Richard, Elsa thought it was Caroline, and then the most devious, everybody voted for Caroline in the group of Tate, Marcus and Richard. So really, this wasn't the most exciting challenge, it wasn't the most exciting task, but at least it gave you a kind of idea about how the house is feeling, and the house is not feeling that great towards Caroline, or I guess certain people aren't feeling that great towards Caroline, but she just keeps on getting immunity, guys, and I have to say, kind of thankful for it, because she is kind of holding this season up on her back for the fact that she's the only one in there that I'm rooting against, okay? Everybody else, I actually don't care who wins. It's one of those series where I'm not having to fight tooth and nail for who I want to win because I actually just don't care. I want Caroline to lose, but I want her to get to the final and lose. Do you know what I mean? I want her to think that she's actually made it to the final off her own merit and she's actually doing well, and then have that taken away from her, which I know sounds really cruel, but I feel like it would be the best entertainment. So there was a conversation that Tate had that Marcus was involved in. I think Tasia was involved in it. Zila was involved in it. I think Cameron B was also there. Not Cameron B, Cameron K. And I think even Emily popped in, like, towards the end. And they were talking about the differences between Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson. Now, I am not here to lecture on my opinions, so I'm going to try and remain as impartial, as difficult as that's going to be. But Tommy Robinson is a very, very controversial figure in the UK. Some people love him, some people despise him. And it's because of the hysteria, mass panic, and hatred that he sort of domineers and drives up into people. Does that make sense? Nigel Farage does the same thing, but as Zila said, I'm more willing to listen to Nigel Farage because he is a politician, he is in a position of power, so I'm interested to see why he thinks that way. And even I agree the fact that Nigel Farage, I feel like, has these horrendous views, but he isn't inciting those views in other people to go out on the streets and do, like, whatever. Do you know what I mean? With the flag protests or all that. That's Tommy Robinson. And that's where it becomes a little bit of a problem. It becomes a almost, I don't want to use that phrase, but it becomes a potentially dangerous situation when he isn't even allowed in the country based on XYZ, or he's being deported from other countries because of XYZ. He is a controversial figure. Nigel Farage, yes, he's a politician. Yes, he's controversial, but he isn't outwardly saying, yeah, we should march on the streets and we should protest XYZ. As far as I'm aware, that is. As far as I'm aware. So when Tate was like, oh, but I watched Tommy Robinson's documentary and I actually think he's misunderstood, I thought, yeah, shut up. Yeah, actually shut up. Because weren't you in conversations earlier on this series being like, oh, I just don't feel educated enough to comment, but you're educated enough to talk about Tommy Robinson? So clearly you are educated enough on the concept and the topics at hand. You just don't want to talk in it because you don't want to seem like the villain. And then when Tommy Robinson's comes up and this is all starting to get out of hand, you feel the need to have to defend him, but you're like, oh, I don't want to defend him, but his documentary was good. And I did understand it. Tate, what are we doing here? Like, actually, what are we doing here? So last but not least, we had a conversation between Elsa and the group, I guess. Jenny was the main sort of vocalist in there. And Elsa was talking about how she's been possessed by demons. A demon forced itself down her throat and they had to perform an exorcism on her. And she sees dead people. And she also has had sex with a demon. And Jenny literally was looking at her like, what are you talking about? And she very rightly said, do you think you need to go see a doctor about that? Because I'm being 100% honest, there is a difference. I've seen a lot of people online being like, oh, well, Jenny believes in God, why can't she believe in demons? There is a very, very clear difference between believing in demons and saying that you've had sex with a demon. And then there are two very, very different things, okay? People who believe in God are not claiming that they've had sex with a Jesus Christ, are they? They're not. No, they believe in something bigger than themselves. That is fine. I have no problem with Elsa believing that there are demons. But when she starts saying, I've had sex with demons, I see dead people, you have to understand the effect that that has on people, especially people who are religious and who do believe that demons are bad things, okay? So I did not understand why Elsa was acting like this isn't normal. Do you know what I mean? For Jenny to ask, do you need to see a doctor? Because I would have been asking the same thing. What do you mean you've had sex with a demon? What do you mean? Are we going to be getting you on this morning couch? I've had sex with a demon. No, because clearly there's something wrong here. And she's like, I've been seeing them since I was 3 years old. So does that mean that I've been damaged since 3 years old? I don't know. But if you've not gone to talk to anybody about it, then how are we to know that this isn't unfortunately some kind of neurological condition? It's a little bit scary, do you not think? How did she pass the psych eval to get on here? Did she just avoid talking about the fact that she's had sex with demons? The fact that she's been possessed? The fact that she's had an exorcism done on her? The fact that she sees dead people? How has any of this made her look like a sane person? I'm sorry, I genuinely just believe that I'm on Jenny's side here. I'm on Jenny's side because that would freak me out as well. What do you mean you've had sex with demons? I don't even believe in God. I'm very much an atheist. But I also believe that people who are claiming that there are demons walking the earth, there's something going on there that isn't normal. Do you know what I mean? It's time to talk about a very controversial subject, and I don't know why I've gone into this accent, but I have. We're going to talk about Sam and Zila. This is potentially a very controversial topic, but I actually think that this whole thing is going to spiral wildly out of control. It all started with a conversation where Sam was sitting just behind Zila and they were flirting a little bit, and Caroline called it out and was basically like, oh, he only likes women, and Zila was like, oh no, actually I'm bisexual. And you could see Sam's eyes perk up and be like, oh, hello. And then Zila said something along the lines of like, oh yeah, my girlfriend has been very sort of open about the fact that if I ever wanted to explore a connection with men, then I would be fine to. Or words to that effect. And I was sat there like, what are we talking about? What do you mean your girlfriend's giving you the green light to just have a go on men? Do you know what I mean? I don't feel like that's okay. And so Sam's obviously now starting to recontextualize all of the, like, things that Zila's done, like smacking his ass and like picking him up and putting him on a counter. Just different things that even Nancy's picked out and been like, hey, now that this extra bit of context has been added, makes me feel a little bit icky-sicky. And even like, what's his face? Sam is a bit like, I don't really know how to take any of this. And then there was a really awkward scene where Sam was just feeding Zila sweets in a very seductive manner. And I was sat there like, what are we doing here? What's going on? What do you mean that there was no substance between the fact that, oh, me and Faishola are just friends, but now this is different? Like, I don't understand. Do you know what I mean? I really don't get it. It's very confusing because you say you're in a monogamous relationship, but then your like girlfriend's giving you the green light to go and experiment with men? What? I really don't get it. I really don't get it. Maybe I misunderstood what he said, but in the next episode, when Sam and Nancy both went into the diary room and said, he said X, Y, Z, I was like, yeah, that's what I got from that conversation as well. That's exactly what I got from that conversation. And no wonder you're now feeling confused, Sam. No wonder. So the Ideal Mini Mart was back in business, and I have to say, it was definitely not as exciting as last time. I mean, Jenny got her phone call home, cool, whatevs at the end of the day, whatevs. I mean, her mum was like, beware of Caroline and Nancy. That was a little bit of a better accent. I'm still working on it, guys. We'll get it by the end of the series. And Jenny was like, oh, no, yeah. Okay, maybe I've lost the accent, but anyway. Then Caroline obviously bid all of her eyes on the save and replace because she thought that Richard was going to do it. And then Richard was like, oh, I think Caroline's going to think I'm going to do it, so I'm going to make it look like I have, but I actually haven't. Honestly, those two crack me up. Do I believe that Caroline is purposely bullying this man? No. I feel like a lot of people are jumping to the B word very, very quickly, okay? This is not bullying in the slightest. There have been instances of bullying in the house, okay? We saw it last series with the whole Ali, the Red Witch, etc, etc. I would say to an extent that was bullying, okay? When Caroline is just like, oh, I just find him like boring and he's just, I feel like he's a game player. I don't feel like that is bullying to me. I feel like, I don't know. I just don't feel like it is bullying, but maybe that's just my view on the situation. I just don't think it's that serious, and I feel like everybody very much forgets that we have witnessed bullying on this show. Do you remember Jade Goody? Do you remember Jade Goody? Yeah, that was bullying, okay? This is not bullying, okay? We have another rule break. I know, it's ridiculous. But Zila was caught out for sneaking jam out of his underwear drawer into his daily porridge. And then I find out that Jenny, Cameron and Emily have all been reaping the rewards of this hidden jam pot. Are you being serious? You're on a basic rations diet. You get porridge for breakfast. That is it. That is all you get. And you're telling me that you've been sneaking sneaky spoonfuls of jam into your porridge every morning. Yeah, you're a wrong un, Zila. Nah, but this was actually quite funny. His punishment was that he had to stick his hand into jam jars and walk around with jam jars on his fist the entire day, which was really, really funny, I have to say. And then they were also given the extra sort of punishment of the fact that Cameron, Zila, Emily and Jenny all lost their eye currency for this, so that was extra good. I really do like the fact that they're being harsher on the punishments now. It does seem like they don't really have a scale for how sort of bad it is, but it does feel like they are getting to the point where every single rule break, there's like additional things that make their life more of a living hell. Do you know what I mean? I feel like they could be harsher, and I feel like if somebody talks about nominations again, they should be automatically nominated. And if the house break a rule, which we're going to talk about in a minute, then maybe they should all go up for nomination, because that would be very entertaining. But you know what? I don't know. I will probably do a video at the end of the series talking about this series and how disappointing, but also how good it's been. I'm really struggling to find that line between, is it a really, really good series, or is it just the most disappointing series I've watched? And like, I feel like one episode I'll be like, oh yeah, this is sick, and then the next episode I'm like, oh, yawn, this is boring, this is dreadful, this is bad. So I don't really know where to go with it, do you know what I mean? And then finally, the last rule break, which we will see the punishment for in the next episode, was the fact that the entire house, except for Richard and Cameron, decided to nick food from the pizza party. Okay, so Tasia bought a pizza party for herself, Zila, and Marcus and Elsa, but because Zila obviously got punished, he wasn't allowed to participate, so it was just Elsa, Marcus, and Tasia. Now, they ate as much as they could, but then Jenny snuck in and had a couple of mozzarella sticks, and then she was hiding mozzarella sticks and was eating them during the night, which I was like, come on. There are cameras everywhere. If you're going to sneak mozzarella dippers, do it under the cover, bestie. Don't just do it out in the open where the cameras can see you with their night vision, bestie. Come on. And then, obviously, Big Brother was like, please, can you return all of the pizza to the cupboard, or whatever it's called, the storeroom? And they were like, fuck that, we're just going to eat all the pizza. So the entire house, bar Richard and Cameron, just decided to start eating all the pizza. And I was sat there going, you guys don't know how bad it's going to get for you if you guys do this. This is absolutely horrendous. I cannot believe that so many of them participated in this. But then again, if they're hungry and they've got pizza on offer, yeah, fair enough, I'd do the same. I probably would participate, because I'm going to get punished anyway, innit? No, maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I would be smart enough. If I saw everyone doing it and I was like, I'm not going to do it because I know Big Brother's going to reward me in some way, I would definitely be like, listen, if you guys all got up for nomination and I don't, sucks to be you. But anyway, that is all we've got time for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. It's been a real whirlwind today. I've been going bam, 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 point, 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 point. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. But either way, make sure to like that comment button. That was not what I meant to say. Make sure to like and comment. You know what I mean. Guys, let's just stop. Let's just stop now. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye now. See ya.